Alrighty, hello, welcome to the stream. This is a little bit of an impromptu stream here. So I'm just going to be doing a bunch of random stuff on Gunforged today. I am happy to say that Gunforged is now feature complete. It's feature complete, so, or I should say feature and content complete, basically. So Gunforged is basically done. I mean, I have extra content that I'd like to add, you know, between now and release, and I'm going to do a bunch of playtesting, so it's not done. It's not in a releasable state. I've still got some sound effects to add and everything, but as far as everything that I want to add to the game and everything that I think needs to be in the game for it to be able to release, it's there. So, in this stream, I'm going to be just working on some random things. I think I'm going to change some of the aspects of the mole rat boss, and probably start adding some more unlock systems. I want to make passives unlockable as well, but I'll get into all that in just a second here. But before we start the work for this afternoon, I'd like to remind everyone that if you want to support my work, you can check out all the links in the description below. Most importantly, I think you can wishlist Gunforged. It's, I believe, the first link in the description. So wishlist Gunforged so that you can purchase it as soon as it goes live. That will help me out a ton. And also you can purchase one of my Udemy courses that will teach you, or those will teach you how to build a complete game in the Godot engine. So yeah, consider giving all those things a look, and we can now get right into it. Man, should have bought the Trump coin a day ago. Would be a billionaire by now. Yeah, I don't mess with those cryptos. I mean, I've got some Bitcoin and some Ethereum that I've had for years at this point, and I'm just kind of like holding those. But I'm kind of checked out of the crypto stuff largely. The Riz Lord, welcome to the stream. By the way, I don't know if I said welcome. All right, so let's see. Yeah, so I want to change some mole rat things. So let me check this out. I did add the last boss for the cave level, but I don't think I'm going to go over that boss with you all. I think I'll leave that one as a surprise. I left some hints on my X account, and I'm sure you'll see references to it in the code, but in terms of like what the fight actually looks like, I think you'll have to buy the game and find out. Oh, it's crashing. Oh no. This happens sometimes. Like this level in particular, there's something about it. I can't run that scene sometimes. And as far as I know, it's not an issue if the game actually gets started. It's like an issue with running this scene specifically. It just kind of ends and there's no errors or anything. So that's really weird. Anyway, let's see. Spawn mole rat. Good afternoon, Cheesem. How you doing? Welcome back to the stream. Okay, so the thing I want to change about the mole rat is this jump attack here. So this jump attack, it just goes right on top of the player, which is fine, but there's a couple of problems with it. So one, if I have movement speed modifiers that make me slower than usual, it becomes almost impossible to dodge that attack. And yeah, I think that's basically the main problem with it. So what I'm going to do is, instead of the mole rat targeting your position directly, I'm going to make it target a position within a radius around you, maybe like a 32 pixel radius. And then I'm also going to increase the radius of the attack itself. And the idea is that if it chooses a random position near the player and has a larger radius, then the player should have enough time to decide what the shortest distance the player can take to get out of the danger zone. So yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that. So state leap. So it's been a while since I went to this code, so I'm gonna have to check it out. State leap has triggered attack. Should trigger attack. Trigger attack. Oh, is that in the animation? Oh, that might be an animation thing. Let me see. So the trigger attack is happening at 0.6 seconds. I might want to extend that a little bit, but I think that that's fine. So let me just try the targeting. So state leap, enter state leap. Okay, leap destination, here we go. So get player global position. Okay, so var rand offset is equal to, now I'm gonna need to do a raycast check on this as well. Sorry, my cat is being ridiculous. rng.rand direction. Then we're going to put a magic number in here. Don't tell anyone. So we'll do a 32 pixel offset, which is the size of a single tile. So we'll see how that goes. And then leap damage radius. This is going to go up a little bit. Let's do plus 16. So that would be what, 80? So we'll do half a tile width on that. Rand offset, so we're going to choose the rand offset here. Now the thing is, I need to do a raycast, so this dot raycast terrain, and I only want to raycast the walls, I think. Do I want to raycast the walls? Actually, there's an interesting thing here. Okay, so I want to raycast the terrain from the... Let's do this. Root target position is equal to this. Yeah. So that's our root target position. Root target position. Okay. So we're going to raycast the terrain. We're going to go from the root target position to the root target position plus the rand offset. And our collision mask is going to be only walls. Or no. No, it needs to be both. So I don't think... Let me see. Yeah. Okay, so the default collision mask on this method is just fine. If result, actually, let's just do this. Leap destination is equal to result question mark dot position, otherwise leap destination. And this can actually be replaced with leap destination here for clarity purposes. Okay, so we're adding a little bit of a rand offset here. And the reason we need to do a terrain, so before the leap position was guaranteed to be valid because the player can only move in valid spots, right? But now that I'm doing a random tile radius around the player for the location, I do have to do a raycast from the player's point to that random point to see if there's a wall in between there, so I can adjust the offset. And actually, I might need to change this because I need to account for the size of the collision box for the mole rat. So I'm actually going to change this to is if result is equal to or not equal to null. Then I'm going to say leap destination is equal to result dot position plus result dot normal times 6 or times 8. So we'll just give it an 8 pixel offset away from the wall, so it's not gonna like end up in the wall, and we can get rid of that. Okay, that should do it. So what I've done is I've made the leap slam attack radius slightly larger, but I've also made it choose a random position around the player. So again, this is so that the player has time to evaluate like which direction should I move to make it the shortest distance to get out of the radius. And this is again to accommodate the fact that if the player's slower, it's harder to dodge the attack. Doing well. Sorry if this is too much to ask, but would you mind checking out the demo of my game and give me feedback? It's due in less than a week. I'm trying my best to finish it up. I can't make any promises to you, but if you want to tell me what the name of your game is, and if it's on Steam, I can see if I can find time to play it. I won't be playing any games on stream though. But yeah, if I can find some time, and if it's on Steam, and I have the time, then I will go ahead and leave a comment on the discussion boards or whatever. Have you made a lot of games this weekend? I haven't made many games. I've worked on Gunforged basically non-stop all weekend. It's on itch. Would you like me to put a link? I think YouTube will automatically block links, so if you just want to tell me what the name of your game is. I have the same cat challenges as well. Yeah, cats are a little bit attention grabbing. Here, I have to go take care of them. It's very cold here, so reducing the movement speed a bit and adding a grappling gun might be a cool idea. Yeah, it might be. It might be. I'm a little bit too far along in development to add something that new, but 2100 dock. Cool. I will bookmark this, or I'll just pin the tab. I've got it open in my browser so I don't forget it, so I can leave a comment on the itch page if I end up playing it. But again, no promises. Don't be offended if I don't get around to it. I'm very busy at the moment. Okay, I think that's looking good. I wonder if I should increase that radius a little bit here. And by a little bit, I mean by 64. Let's see, rand direction. Yeah, let's see how this looks. Mostly what I'm concerned about is the beefy passive. So add passive beefy. This reduces your movement speed and adds a bunch of health. But I don't want to be in a position where a boss feels like you have to take damage obligatorily, you know? Oh, I dodged it. I got in the corner. Oh, see, this is... Oh, I dodged it. Nice. Yeah, that's much nicer, because now I can anticipate a little bit better where I need to go. And the way that the randomness works is that... Okay, so that's still a little bit too difficult. So, unfortunately, the thing that I need to do now is I need to increase this trigger time here. So at 0.6 seconds, that's when the trigger attack happens. So what I want to do is I might add another 0.2 seconds on the end of this animation here. So 1.45. I mean, I might as well make it 0.25, right, to make it nice and even. So let's do 1.5 seconds. And then what I'm going to do is this 0.6 here. I'm just going to move all of these things. I wish I had a bigger bigger screen here. Can zoom out a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to take all of these things starting at 0.6 here, and I'm just going to move it over until these keyframes are at 1.5. And hopefully the animation still looks good. Okay, so the swing looks a little bit more lethargic now, but before I adjust that, I just want to see if that timing feels a little bit better now. It's rough around the edges and might be a little hard to understand. That's all right. We'll see how it goes. Spawn mole rat. Oh, goodbye. Okay, so he's sinking down a little bit. Okay, something's going wrong there. Enter state leap. Oh, I think I need to adjust the leap timer here. Yeah, this is now what? 0.85? Come on, mole rat. Let me see what you're made of. Ow. Yeah, so I think that, I mean, that feels a little bit better. It might be too easy to dodge now, but I can always increase that radius again. That's a ridiculous boss. Let me try increasing the radius. I'm gonna change the animation too, but let's do 96. I'm just trying to find a good balance between easy to dodge, or possible to dodge, but hard to dodge. Again, I don't want to be in a situation where a player feels like they have to take damage from the boss. Like, all the damage that the player takes should ideally be because, oh man, I should have dodged that way instead of, you know. Like, see, I just dodged like a very bad way right there. This is enough at normal speed to run through, but you might need to conserve your stamina. Okay, that's much more engaging now. Yeah, that's nice. That's very good. Okay, so I can adjust the speed now. Yep, see, I just did that whole thing wrong right there. Okay, so let me adjust the speed then of that animation. Actually, it's not really the speed. I'm just going to adjust the curves here. So let me see. Mole rat animation. So these curves, let me see, hand front position 3.13, 3.13. Are these all 3.13? No, that's not. So really the hand, right? So I think these two things, just scrooge those down a little bit. Boom. And then the body, I feel like these could stand to, let's see, body rotation. Yeah, these could stand to be a little bit more curvy as well. Might have to adjust the hat animation as well. Yeah, I don't know. That looks better. I want the body to go forward a little bit before the hammer comes down, or the pickaxe rather, and front. So those start to come down like this, bang. Yeah, I think that's fine. Pickaxe. Oh, the pickaxe. What is it supposed to be? 4.59. I almost feel like, I mean, not to get into a whole thing about rotating things, but I almost feel like this hand could go back more. Boom. What happens if I do like negative 120? Is that going to be even better? Ooh, yeah. Okay, now I got to deal with the hat being way out of sync here. Okay. Is there a way to disable keys? That would be nice. So what is it trying to do exactly? Okay. That hat is just messing me up. Let's see. So that's just wrong. I don't know. Just looks weird. So I think maybe, yeah, maybe it's all right being here, but I think the position probably just needs to change. Oops. Let's turn on recording. What did I just keyframe? I don't even know. Where's my hat? Hat. That's not gonna look good. Maybe if this flew over to that spot. Nope. Dang. Hello, Mo. Just watched your videos. They are very amazing. Thanks for sharing knowledge. You're welcome. Thanks for your comment. I very much appreciate that. How do I sort my folders and assets? My project organization is sort of a mess. Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of different ways you can do it. A lot of people recommend that you just keep everything. And this is probably what I would recommend if you're not sure how to organize your project, is you put everything that's related to the scene in the same directory. So for instance, you have like, let's say you have an entities. So you've got like a scenes directory and then an entities directory. Well, I guess you wouldn't have scenes in this place. Let's just say that you have an entities directory at the root level of your project. Inside of the entities, you have the player. And then inside of that player folder, you have your player scene, any sounds required by the player, any art required by the player, so on and so forth. So you put like the scene and all of the scene's assets or resource dependencies in that same folder. And so you have like a nice encapsulated like folder that contains everything that the player needs from in terms of like the scene, the code, and the art and the sound effects. And you just do that for all of your things. If you've got a tree, you have a tree scene or whatever, or you probably would do a tree with a tile set, but you get the point. Like you have a tree folder, and then inside the folder, you've got all the art for the different types of trees. You've got the tree scene, and then all the sound effects. So you could start with that, and I think that's what the docs recommend. I don't personally like doing that. So what I do is I do something a little bit different. I have a scripts folder, I have a scenes folder, a resources folder, and an assets folder. And then these directory structures roughly mirror each other. So for instance, I have assets, entity, blood golem, right? And then I have scenes, game object, entity, blood golem. So they're roughly the same. They use kind of like the same naming, but the reason I split these things up is I have a lot of C# scripts that are just pure scripts. And so it doesn't really make sense to group them with anything. Also, it's just much nicer in my IDE here to just have a folder that's all C#, right? So I could just scroll down and I can see all the scripts that are here rather than it being cluttered up with all kinds of like non-script files. And then I have scenes for the same reason. I just kind of like have all the scene files in a single directory here. And resources, again, I just save all those resources separately. For like custom resources. And then assets for basically the same reason. I've got like all the sound effects and all the art in an assets folder here. This is particularly useful because I end up, especially with sound effects, reusing sound effects across a multitude of entities. So it doesn't make sense to keep the sound effects like co-located with the entity that uses them because they end up being used across like 4 or 5 different entities, right? So this is just the way that I prefer to do it. I think the biggest thing in terms of project organization is that you just need to pick a style and stick to it. Like the key is not necessarily like how you structure the files. Obviously you want to make sure it's as clean as can reasonably be done, but the most important thing is consistency, right? You don't want to have to be guessing where something is. So whether you're consistent because you're organizing it in a way that makes sense for you or because you're using a different like recommended style, the most important thing is that you stick to a style and do it. Don't switch how you're naming things or locating things halfway through your project, right? It has to be consistent. Like I know that every entity I create is going into the scenes game object entity folder without exception, right? So if I have a question, if I want to locate an entity, that's where I look, right? I know that all my sound effects are an asset/audio. So that's where I go if I need to find a sound effect, right? And the reason why I mirror the directory structure between like the scenes and the scripts is just to maintain that consistency so I don't have like a different paradigm for script organization compared to scene organization compared to, asset organization. So they mirror each other in terms of their structure, even though they serve different purposes, if that makes sense. Are your state machine implementation Godot aware? Welcome to the stream, Gummy Cookie. Are your state machine implementation Godot aware? Can you clarify that question? I'm not sure if I entirely understand what you're asking. Yeah, I understand what you're saying is your. I'm just not sure what Godot aware means. What was I doing? Oh yeah, this hat. The bane of my existence. Oh, like is it just .NET or do you rely on Godot bindings like Node? I see what you're saying. The state machine that I'm using is a pure C# implementation because it's a delegate state machine, and basically all it does is it uses function delegates as the states and then calls them based on the state changes that are happening. So you could just lift that state machine logic and put it in any .NET project. I don't think it uses anything Godot related. I can actually check, I think, right here. Oh, it is using Godot. Wait, is it? Right, it is using Godot, yeah, in one place right here, which is this callable. And the reason why it's doing a callable inside the change state is whenever I call change state, it actually happens in a deferred manner. So it's setting up a callable that calls it deferred. So that is the only place where it's dependent on Godot. So you could rip that out if you wanted to. But Yeah, the reason why it's being called deferred is because I want the current state logic to finish in its entirety before a new state happens, before a new state is, well, changed to. And so that's why I'm calling the state changes in a deferred way, so that whatever state is currently processing gets finished, and then by the next frame, it's in the new state. I'm a big fan of your architecture. I think this use of components matters more when it's used in larger games with lots of entities. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm not going to show you the last boss that I just made, but like the system that I have made, that I have built up with all of my components and everything, is so incredibly flexible that I'm basically having no issues whatsoever putting together entities. I still am feeling a little bit of pain around like copy and pasting a bunch of the same components over and over again. I'm still kind of, I think that composition would be like a perfect architecture if I could figure out a very nice, clean, and relatively lightweight way of doing all that boilerplate component setup for the common use cases. There's a number of ways you could do it, but it's like, is there something that I can do that makes it, like, even something as simple as like doing a Godot plugin that where you would bring up like a dialogue and say, here's all the components that I've detected in your game, and you just checkbox, right? I want this component, this component, this component, this component, this component, and then somehow have it able to detect like this component has a dependency of type, you know, X component has a dependency of type Y component. And so if you add X and Y together, like have the plugin automatically connect those things for you. So for instance, I could go, if I need a new entity, I could say I need a health component, a hitbox component, or a hurtbox component, status receiver component, velocity component, add those four things all at once. I'm just going to check, 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 boom, and then have it all wire those things together for me with the export nodes in place. That would be a huge time saver. So that would be a really nice plugin, I think. But I'm still trying to think like if there's a better, like a programmatic way to do it that doesn't require extending engine functionality. But that's really the only pain point that I have with the component system. And of course, like the ability to go back through all of your entities and add a new component to all of them. Like if I added let's say that I recently added a knockback component. Well, now I got to go through all of my 25 entities or whatever and add the knockback component every single one. Again, having a plugin or something that could automatically or automate that process in some way would be really nice. But I'm still thinking, I'm like, that's something that I'm actively thinking about, is like, how can I reduce the friction associated with like setting up a new entity simply because you have to duplicate all this, you know, structure. Using components are more useful with certain types of game genres, like yeah, that's true. I have a start chart implementation that uses read-only record structs to keep everything on the stack instead of allocating the heap. A start chart? What is that? Sounds a bit like a dependency injection. Yeah, I guess it would be like ahead of time dependency injection, because it's getting all wired up through the editor, right? So it's getting saved to the scene file. So it's not dependency injection in the sense that it's happening at runtime, but it would happen when you're creating the scene. Could you not do that with a class? Yeah, but we're trying to avoid having to inherit classes. Like, all of my entities are just pure scripts here. The only thing that they inherit is the root type, which is the character body 2D. And then the nice thing is that the entities here are only the state machine logic. So trying not to like intermingle components with like requiring inheritance. Oh, a state chart. I see. Uses read-only record structs to keep everything on the stack instead of allocating in the heap. Yeah, that's nice. What approaches do you know besides the component one that you're using? I think it's sort of composition. I mean, the other big approach would be, with Godot anyway, would be inheritance, right? So you'd have a base entity class. This is actually, I did some Minecraft modding. I was trying to make like a vanilla plus mod at one point. And it was really fun, but I was quickly seeing like, wow, this is terrible, because all of the entities in Minecraft inherit from a base entity class, but the entity classes are so fractured into like really non-understandable subclasses because there's so many different types of entities in the game that have different behaviors. And so that would be the alternate approach, is like you have a base entity class, you try to share as much common functionality as you can, but as soon as you need to build an entity that has a slightly different behavior set or functionality set, then you need to fracture the inheritance tree so that you can support that case, right? And like you just have to keep breaking it down into smaller. You eventually just end up doing like a composition-based design anyway with inheritance, right? But I think that would be the other way to do it. So yeah, I'm just not a big fan of inheritance and the way that it works in Godot in particular, because there's all kinds of problems with like scene inheritance. You could have like pure class inheritance. I'm doing that in a couple of places. Like all of my passives, for instance, inherit from a player passive abstract class, which makes sense because the player passive abstract class is basically just for handling the setup and teardown of the passive. It's not for handling the actual logic of the passive. That's up to the individual passive script. But sorry, not a class, a custom resource. Oh yeah, that's an interesting idea. Yeah, inheritance tends to box you in. Yeah, I think it's there's just downsides to every approach. There's downsides to composition, there's downsides to inheritance, but I have to say that I'm finding composition a lot nicer to work with because I don't have to keep rewriting the inheritance tree every time I need to support a new feature, right? So that's a nice thing. Man, this hat is just not working with me here. Wonder if I should just make it go up and then land on the thing's head immediately. So 10, negative 46. So if I go here, this is just looking terrible, if I do say so myself. Man, it is really, really snowing here where I'm at. I literally can only see probably like 100 feet out my window. Oh, goodness. Okay, that's a little bit nicer. Anyway, enough playing around with that. Let's see what this looks like. There's also a mix-in approach, which is like multiple inheritance. Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's a bunch of ways to accomplish the same thing. More than one way to skin a cat, as you could say. Yeah, I think that's fine. The hat animation is not perfect, but I think it gets the point across. Ow. Oh, I shouldn't have I should have run backwards. Just do a little bit of play testing here, make sure that this is still feeling good. And assuming it's feeling good, then I will call it. I don't know what he's doing with the stutter step here. Yeah, it's a little bit difficult, but this level is supposed to be difficult, so. Yeah, see, I switched directions too fast. Okay, there we go. And I can use my dash. I'm trying not to dash. That's what I'm trying to do. Because it's possible that the player will not have many dashes. Oh, I died anyway. BS. I don't know what's with his stutter step that he's doing. I gotta figure that out. Probably related to him getting to the end of the path or something. Oof, I had to use my dash on that one. Yeah, this boss is all gonna be about like dash economy, like manage your dashes carefully. Ow. Ooh, almost died. Oh, I died anyway. You can also extend scripts to other scripts. Yeah, that would be... Well, I'm not sure exactly which... Wouldn't that just be inheritance? If you were a developer of The Binding of Isaac, would you go with composition approach for development? I mean, there are so many enemies with base type, but a lot of variations. Let me think. Yeah, I mean, my first instinct would be to use composition. Yeah, I think so. I think composition would be a good, or Binding of Isaac would be a good use case for that. Hello, Mervy Doug. First time catching your stream. Love how your game is turning out. Can't wait to play this. Thank you. Yeah, it's like I said at the beginning of the stream, Gunforged is content complete, which does not mean that I won't add more content to it between now and release, and it also doesn't mean that the game itself is finished, but what it does mean is that all of the entities, the passives, the guns, like that I wanted to add are added. The game has enough content that I feel like I can comfortably charge money for the game. And so now the remaining time between now and launch is just going to be spent play testing, refining, adding other supporting features. Like I want to add an unlock system for passive abilities. I probably will add multiple new affixes, multiple new passives, and multiple, multiple new gun types. But I could release the game without making any more content and would feel comfortable with it as it is. Extending is inheritance, yeah. All good. Yeah, I mean, there's a difference in Godot, right? There's like the script inheritance, but then there's scene inheritance, and oftentimes those two things go together, but not always, right? You can have an inherited scene that uses an entirely different script. Okay, so I think the mole rat is feeling all right. Oh, I was going to check its... Let's see. If pathfind component can set target position or pathfind component... I'm just going to add... Oh, it is adding a random offset. Okay. Or pathfind component dot navigation agent 2d dot is navigation finished. I think that will prevent the stutter step here. Do you also animate your assets in Godot? I do, yeah. I use the animation player. So I do like a cutout animation. I draw all of the parts of the entity as different sprites, and then I take those sprites into the engine and I edit them with the animation player, which is really, really nice. I like doing my animations that way. That will probably be my crutch for as long as I'm making games in Godot. That will probably be the way that I'm just gonna... That'll just be my style, you know? Like, it'll be Firebelly Games' signature style. But the real reason is because I don't feel like spending the time doing frame-by-frame sprite animation. The other thing is, like, look what I did with this mole rat, right? I just tweaked the animation to change the timing, and I'm just not sure if that would be as doable or as easy if I was doing frame by frame hand-drawn animations. Can you please show your Obsidian setup? Maybe a quick walkthrough of what you have configured for game development. Kanban, maybe design document. I might do that at some point, but I mean, I'm not really like an authority on like organization and how to do it. I don't have a game design document. My Kanban board is just a bunch of, really the only three lanes you need are to do, in progress, and done. But I've got a third one or a fourth one here, which is backlog. So to do is all like the list of things that I want to get done for sure. The backlog is a list of things I want to do at some point. Polish is just a bunch of notes that I'm taking about things that can be tidied up. Ideation, again, these are all just like garbage lists. Like this is just for me dumping ideas. Player passive ideas, gun affix ideas, and then back burner is like old stuff that I probably will never get to, but I'm leaving those there just so that I can have a reminder if I want to call back to any of those things. But yeah, that's basically it. I'm, like I said, I'm not an authority on on organization, so I want to milk that creature. Okay. All right. Mole rat's animation is so clean, I had to ask. Yeah. Were you referring to the mole rat, Kumo Quinn? You want to milk the mole rat? Mole rats are actually fascinating. I think I mentioned this when I was building the boss, but the Wikipedia page for mole rats is fascinating. They're like immortal. I mean, that's a stretch, but they have some really weird things going on. How do you add a checkbox to a card? That is just... Ooh, I probably shouldn't be able to pause during the death screen. Checkbox is just, since it's markdown, it's just, let me see. I think you definitely need to do like a dash and then open close brackets like that, square brackets, and then test, right? I don't know if you have to do the dash ahead of it. Seems like I do for the cards at least, but it's all markdown, so anything markdown will work. I'm gonna go buy your courses now. Thank you. Appreciate that. Love how bouncy the character's head is as well. Yeah. You're welcome, Jack. You are welcome. All right, let me commit that. I think the mole rat is feeling good now. So mole rat, actually, I wasn't paying attention to the pathfinding. Let me just verify that this is working. Let me just verify. Okay, he should have no more stutter steps. Ow. Gotta really pay attention to those. Okay. Tweak mole rat attack patterns. May need to tweak that some more, but that's fine. Okay, unlock system for passive abilities. Should we start on that? Do you think it's worth it? Unlock system for passive abilities? I think so, right? That means that I'm going to need to do a UI for that as well, which is going to be very painful, I bet. I might work on the UI system first, actually, but let's start on an unlock system for passive abilities. There's going to be a couple of considerations here. So I need the save data to be in place for the unlocks. I need to make the unlocks conditional. so that I can check when certain conditions are met to unlock various passives. I need a UI that can show the locked and unlocked state of the passives. Yeah. Yeah. After this game, what are you planning on working on next, if you have anything in mind? Yeah, I have to see how Gunforged does. If Gunforged doesn't do that well, I may have to do some work with Udemy courses to increase my revenues so that I can continue doing this stuff. So maybe a Udemy course, probably updating my old courses. I think, what else? So either updating my old courses, and yeah, if Gunforged does really well, then I may just go straight to developing the next game. I do have an idea for the next game I want to make, but it's all up in the air. We're gonna see how Gunforged does first, and then I'll evaluate from there. Is C# faster in Godot? Yeah, I mean C# is faster generally speaking. Is it noticeably faster? In other words, if you were to write a game in C#, would you just get free performance? I don't think so. I don't think that if your justification for using C# in Godot is like, well, it's faster, generally speaking, then I don't think that's a good reason to use it. There are certain situations where, yes, C# will have a noticeable improvement, but those situations are few and far between. And especially with GDScript has been getting more performant with every Godot 4 release. So I would say mostly if you want to use C#, it should probably be because you find C# more conducive to your productivity, I guess, than any specific like performance reason. Do you have learning with C# course? I do, yeah. There's a grid-based puzzle course, which is in C#, but I don't teach C# specifically. It's a course about how to use C# with Godot effectively. It's not a course that teaches you like from the ground up as a beginner, here's how to use C#. It's more for intermediate. Good code is better performance as a baseline. I agree. Also, I just think like when you're looking at the big picture, your ability to get work done quickly and comfortably is like the most important thing. So if you're going to use C# and then it's just going to be a struggle and you have to write so much boilerplate and you just don't like it, it's probably going to be better to use something that's more conducive to your productivity, like I said, instead of suffering through something you don't really enjoy because of some kind of like perceived benefit from doing so, right? Like the tools should be comfortable for you to use first and foremost, and everything else is kind of, in my opinion, secondary to that. Good GDScript versus bad C#, the good GDScript will win. Yeah, that is definitely true too. All right, so we're going to do an unlock system for passive abilities. So this is going to be a nice dive into a lot of my systems here. So let's see. So save data. So let's see. Gun part unlocks. Meta upgrade unlocks. Let's do this. JSON property. Passive unlocks. Public read-only dictionary string. We're going to need to create a passive unlock. So let's copy this. Paste here. Rename. Passive unlock. Passive unlock. This extends base save object, which just has a timestamp on it. Is unlocked, that's fine. Okay, so let's put passive unlock here. That should be fine. So there's our unlocks. So passive affix meta upgrade. Oh, wow. I've got 4 different types of unlocks here. Let's just create some spacing in there to group those better. Okay. So I've got my passive unlocks. Cool. So let's go to the save manager now. And the save manager is basically just a nice way of interacting with everything. So try unlock gun part here. So I'm just going to duplicate this. Public static bool try unlock passive string passive ID. Save data dot passive unlocks try get value passive ID out var passive unlock. If it's already unlocked, we're going to return false. If it's null, we're going to set it to new, so passive ID, and this has to be passive unlocks. And then, yeah, that's fine. And then I can do this. Public static bool has passive unlock, string passive ID, try get value passive ID out var unlock. And this has to be passive unlocks there. Okay, so those are just helper methods for me to allow me to try to unlock things and get the unlock status of things. I think that's fine. So I set up that system. So now I need it to be unlocked whenever you encounter it. So what I'm going to do is, how do I want to do this? So the way that I'm going to do this is, let me see, player passive resource. So what I've been doing is I've been adding these, which is not an ideal situation, but so the affix resource. So this, I have a Boolean here, has unlock condition and then the unlock condition description. So I'm going to put those on the player passive resource here. And this basically tells me, if there's a way to unlock, so an unlock condition is, so the default sort of baseline unlock condition for everything is that if it ends up in your inventory, so if you get a rune and it ends up in your inventory, or if you get a gun part and it ends up as part of one of your guns, and in this case a passive, if a passive ends up being collected by you, then that is the baseline unlock condition. But if this is true here, then that means that there's actually something else that needs to be done to unlock that passive, and the passive won't actually appear in the loot tables until you've done that. So for instance, the frog gun does not get unlocked until you enter the cave level. So that means that the frog gun will not appear in the game at all until you enter the cave level for the first time. After that point, it's unlocked and it gets added to the loot tables. So that means if you go back and play the graveyard level, the frog gun becomes something that can appear now, right? If there is no unlock condition, in other words, if this Boolean is false, then that means that the weapons can appear in the loot table from the beginning of the game and will count as unlocked as soon as you equip them. And that unlock is basically just a way of like showing it in the UI, but it's already by default unlocked in the sense that it can show up in the loot tables. So that's the way I've been doing it. It's a little bit hacked together, but it's fine. It works. So there's the player passive resource. So now I need to go to my passive loot table, or passive table manager here. And in here, this is what I need to add some conditionality here. So this update bias loot table here, current table items. Yeah, this is going to be a little bit tricky here. Add initial table item. Player passive table manager. Where is that? Is that in the player? Where is the passive table manager? Is that an auto load? Shown file system. View owners. Okay, it's in base level. Okay, that makes sense. So every time, add initial table item. Okay. Actually, current table items. How is this actually working? Initial table items, maybe that's what I need. I'm just trying to figure out how this works. So I think what I should do, so this initial table, this add initial table item is happening for every passive in the game, and it's not including any passive that is not available in the demo if we're in a demo build. But I think for the update bias loot table here, I think what I want to do is just do the unlock conditionality. So I want to, every time this update bias loot table happens, queue update, yeah. So every time this update happens here, this is where I should run the unlock stuff, because I could, in this add initial table items, check whether the things are unlocked here. The problem is that this only happens when the level starts. So if you unlock an item, let me think actually. So the idea is that if you unlock an item in the middle of a run, let's say on wave 9, then that should mean that it has the potential to appear during any wave during that run, right? Because you've unlocked it, and so it should immediately take effect. I guess it wouldn't be that big of a deal if I didn't have it immediately take effect, but I think that's the sensible way to do it. Now the question is, are my other things working that way? Has unlock, can add affix. Yeah, so that is working for the affix. Gun part loot table, is it working? What in the world? We've rewards manager, pick, scaled part resource, arena loot manager. Goodness gracious. A lot of this code is ancient. These are like holdovers from how the game used to be, so it's kind of morphed into a monster. Okay, this is the same deal here. So it's doing this check. Okay, yeah. So anytime the biased loot table is updated, it should just check if the thing's unlocked. Okay, that makes sense. So in here, player passive table manager, I'm going to update this biased loot table. So essentially, yeah, so I'm just going to iterate over this data. Yeah, so I will create a new method here, private bool can add passive, string passive ID, and let's see, can add passive, or can add, just gonna copy this. Has affix on, or has passive unlock, passive.id, or passive has unlock condition. So then what I can do in here is I can do if not can add passive, then we're going to do this. We're going to take data.object. So this is the player passive resource here. And if we can't add it, then we're simply just going to continue on the loop. So we're just outright going to reject adding that item if it's not unlocked. Cool. Okay. Anyway, mine is going like this: learning Unity C# because of the resources of learning, and then when I want to use another engine like Godot, so the basics of game dev are easier. I think that's a good approach. Yeah. especially since Unity is like C# only, right? You're definitely like all the Unity resources are going to be in C#, whereas that's not the case with Godot. So I think that's a reasonable thing to do. Get familiar with C# first using the Unity resources, and Unity will also teach you some of the game design basics, right? Like how to position things in the world and everything. And then, yeah, I think that's a good idea. Instead of a Unity course, would you instead be interested in doing a non-engine based tutorial with C#, perhaps a mono game? That is not something that I've considered doing, but I don't know, maybe my calling is to be a online course instructor instead of a game developer, so I may end up doing more of those kinds of things, depending on how this goes. Hello, Beat. I'm doing your C# puzzle course, but I'm doing it with GDScript. Would you like me to send you the GDScript repository when I finish, so you can make available in your resources for the course? You can certainly send that to me at my email, admin@firebelly.com. No promises, though. I don't know if I will add that to the course, but I very much appreciate the offer, that's for sure. I do C# for work, so I wasn't interested in it. Yeah, that's understandable. Hello, Super Rad Maker. The game is looking amazing. Hope your days have been going well since the last time I was in here. Yeah, for sure. Welcome back to the stream. And thank you. Yeah, the game is coming together. Right now, we're just adding a passive unlock system, which, like, the unlocks is really important. I noticed when I was doing some play testing that, you know, like, it just kind of like wasn't that fun to have everything available to you all at once. But as I started adding unlocks and had stuff available, like goals to me, like, oh, I need to do this to get this unlock, that I think drives the game a lot nicer. But it also keeps it fresh, right? Because as you unlock things, new possibilities open. So it's like you're kind of got that carrot on a stick happening a little bit, which I think is good for engagement purposes. But that's what we're doing right now. Am I late? No, I'll be going for quite a bit longer still. So you are good. Welcome back, Neozoid. All right. So the passive, I think the passive system logic is in place. I think what I'm gonna do here is move this debug log up here, and then I'm gonna put another logger debug here. And then continue, because I want to do this. Excluding passive data.object.id because it is not unlocked. So I just like to have these debug logs so I can check the table. Okay, so we can build. And now before I add any unlock conditions here, I want to probably start working on the UI. I think that's going to be a big component of getting this working, so I need to figure that out. I don't know why I'm using a shader for that. Hello, Anykey. Welcome back to the stream. Great to see you. Okay, so let me commit what I've got here. So add initial setup for passive unlocks here. Okay, so we got the initial setup for passives. I'm going to do the UI next. So just because I need to see what this is going to end up looking like. So let's do this. Dang it. Layer 11. We're going to call this passive unlocks screen. My UI folders are so unorganized. It's unbelievable. That's not right. Dimmed background layer 10. 10. Oh, 11. There we go. Okay. Just getting everything set up basically here. Okay. All right. Oh, I'm going to need to add another thing in the hub too to access this. Goodness gracious, there's a lot to do. Oh man, the snow is really coming down. Wow. All right, I'm going to take a quick break real quick. I'm going to go refill my water. It's almost gone. Ah, tasty. But in the meantime, please check out the links in the description below. Those are all the ways that you can support my work. And yeah, after my quick 2-minute break, we'll be back here to work on this passive unlocks screen. And hopefully it turns out well. I'm sure it will, but we'll see. All right, so I'll be back in just a second and we'll continue working on it. Alrighty, I am back. Let's see how this goes. So the thing about this that's going to be a little bit tricky is that these passive ingots are massive. So yeah. So let's try an HBox container. Center. Nope. Layout. Container sizing. Shrink center. So it's like I don't think I can even fit. Can I fit 2 on a screen? I suppose a grid container would be better if I wanted to try that. Oh no, that's not going to be good either. I think I'm going to have to do some sort of like pagination. I can fit 3 comfortably on the screen, I think, with margins and everything. But if I were to duplicate this, let's say through a VBox container, duplicate that, put that there. Yeah, those aren't going to fit. So I could either have, I mean, I could also scroll it, I suppose. I guess what I'm worried about is the cost of instantiating however many passives I have. Let's see, resources. How many passives are there? Does it tell me how many items are selected? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's probably at least 6 in here. Probably at least 12. 1, 2. Do I want to count all these? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. There's got to be an easier way to do this. There are 36 items. So I'd have to, if I were loading this scene on demand, I would instantiate 36 passives at once. Which I don't think that that's going to be ideal. But let's see. Oops. So if I were to do that, what I could do is I could add a scroll container. Maybe we'll just try that, and then if it's a problem, I'll try to come up with a different thing. But grid container here. Let's do 3 columns. Layout, container sizing, expand. Perfect. Instantiate passive ingot. Okay. Theme overrides constants. H separation, probably 32. V separation, probably doesn't need to be that much V separation. Yeah, that's better. This could probably be higher. Yeah, that works. Okay. Let's see. Horizontal shrink center. Yeah, that'll work. I kind of like the tighter. What you call it? Now I do need to add a little bit of margin on the right-hand side there. I could probably just accomplish that with this margin right. Because that X icon there is a little bit in the way. That looks kind of awkward though. Wonder if I should just move the X icon. Whoa. Move the X icon maybe? It's a little bit awkward, but I don't know if there's a better way to do that, honestly. I'm kind of out of space here, so that's fine. Okay, well, I mean, let's see what happens when I instantiate a billion passives. We're going to load this as a placeholder. Passive ingot placeholder. Okay. Scripts. I'm wondering if I'm kind of curious. So there's a little bit of lag when I open up the gun part unlock screen, but I'm actually curious. I wonder if that's because there's too many tree operations happening. So for instance, if I go to my gun part unlocks manager, in the ready method, oh wait, gun part unlock screen. In the ready method, what I'm doing is I'm generating all of my buttons here in a loop. But I think probably every time that gets added to the tree while it's in the tree, it's probably triggering a bunch of like recalculations and whatnot. So I wonder if I constructed the scene in the instantiated notification before it gets added to the tree, if that would actually be faster. I'll try it on the passive unlock screen. I'm not entirely sure if that's going to work, but I think maybe constructing the entirety of the tree before it gets added to the scene tree, generally speaking, probably will work. I don't know. We will find out. Passive ingot equals passive ingot placeholder dot create instance as passive ingot. That should basically be all I need to do. Create the passive ingots there. Actually, I think that's basically it. Well, let's see if that works. Let's see if it works. Just run this scene here. It's either going to work or it's not. You know? 50-50. Either works or it doesn't. I don't think it worked. Oh, I forgot to mark this as a unique name, that's why. Nope, now it's not working again. Object reference not set to an instance of object. Create instance. So the instance placeholder must not work. So let's try something else then. If I load this just in the code, copy path, private, static, read only, packed scene, ingot scene is equal to gd.load, packed scene, node private grid container. So we're changing up the strategy here. Passive ingot, or let's do ingot scene. Why am I calling that? Passive ingot scene dot instantiate or null. passive ingot, grid container.add child, passive ingot, and then set passive resource. Yeah, let's see if that works. So create passive ingots, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Let's see if that works. Hello, Emerson. Welcome back to the stream. Great to see you. Always good to have you here. Ooh, look at that. Bang. Oh, and it's perfect. So these are not sorted. Are these sorted? No, these are not sorted. No, maybe they are. No, they're not. They're definitely not sorted. So I want to sort them by name for sure. So, So var passive resources is equal to passive registry.ids.select. I wonder if I should just make this available in the passive registry here. It's fine. Select X, passive registry.get by ID, X dot order by, X dot display name. What? What? Where's my display name? Oh, it's called title. Everywhere else I call it a display name, but here I'm calling it a title, you know? Okay, passive in passive resources. Cool. Alrighty. So let's see if that, I mean, I'm pretty sure that's going to work, but hello, Samurai. Welcome back to the stream. Great to see you. Okay. Awesome. And that's all good. Cool. So that's my passive screen. I mean, it's not done. I need to handle the lock condition now. So if it's not unlocked, it needs to be locked. Let me think. So that's gonna have to happen at the passive ingot level. Can I just set the modulate? That'll work. Obviously, I'm going to need to add some text, though. So let me do this. Sorry, I'm just thinking real quick. I'm just thinking. Trying to decide if I want to put the unlock stuff as part of this scene or if I just want to tack it on programmatically in the passive unlock screen. I think I'll probably do that. I don't want to clutter up this scene with a bunch of stuff that's only useful for this scene. Yeah. Let me try something. I guess I could just add like a label in here. Trying to think. Yeah, it might be. Oh, yeah, let's just do this. Private bool is locked. Public void set locked. I'm just gonna do this. Is locked equals true. If is locked, then what I'm gonna do is let me get a reference to node private glow rect. Okay. Margin container, locked container, node, private label, locked label. So I'm going to add a new margin container here. Locked container. Add a new label. That should be fine. Let's see. We're going to do uppercase. Unlocked. By encountering. We're going to do auto wrap mode word. During a run. Center this. Okay. So what this is ultimately going to look like is this glow rect here. I'm going to actually turn this modulate down. I mean, I guess it's fine. This panel container. I'm going to turn this visibility down to black here like this. And then the unlock condition is going to show up here. Locked label. Access is unique name. What is the size here? Size is 118, so let's do minimum size of 118. So that's nice and good. Locked container, cool, cool, cool. Let's see. So this is going to be invisible by default, but just to make sure that this is not going to cause any issues, I'm going to turn this to ignore the mouse. And we'll turn that to off. Okay, so we've got the locked container and locked label. Cool. Set locked. We're going to say locked container dot visible equals true. Locked label dot text. Well, let's do if is locked and passive resource dot has unlock condition. We're going to say locked label dot text is equal to passive resource dot unlock condition description. So we're just going to update that text there if it's locked. We're going to set that locked container to visible there. And then this panel container needs to turn to black. So private control panel container. I guess I'll type it as a panel container. Why not? Set locked panel container dot modulate is equal to colors dot black. Okay, so that should darken it all. That should darken it all, and then in my script here, set passive resource. So if save manager dot has passive unlock. So if not save manager dot has passive unlock, passive dot ID, we're gonna say passive ingot dot set locked to true. and then we'll call set passive resource, and that should update the text as well. All right, let's see what happens. I'd be curious to know what shortcomings, if any, you have noticed with Godot from your experience with it so far. Thank you and good luck for the launch. Thank you, Don't Stop. Let's see, shortcomings for Godot. Well, there's a lot of them in 3D, I believe. I'm not a 3D developer, but I think the general consensus is that Godot is lacking in the 3D department quite a bit. So just generally speaking, I can just generally wave my hand in the direction of the 3D, but in terms of 2D, which is more kind of like what I'm experienced with, let me think. So one thing that was really nice in Game Maker, for instance, which is what I came from, was surfaces. So the ability to set like a surface to target draws to, which was just like a long-lived texture. And that was, like, for example, if you wanted to have like blood and gore and whatnot stick around on the level for a long period of time, the performance way of doing that was to do like a texture, like draw to a surface and then just render that surface. There hasn't really been anything similar in Godot. I actually don't know how you would do a 2D decal system in Godot in a performant way. There might be a way, but there's just no like obvious like built-in way of doing it. So that's one issue. Recently, I've encountered a couple of issues during doing like Y sorting stuff. I find myself really desiring the ability to change the Y sort origin of a node 2D. That's kind of like a very specific thing, but the Y sort origin is just whatever the node's position happens to be. So if the node is, positioned at the origin of the scene, then that's where the Y sort origin is going to be. But sometimes it'd be useful to like offset the Y sort origin for certain cases. That's a very specific thing. What other shortcomings are there? This is getting fixed or addressed in some way, but shader compilation, even in 2D games, causes stutters that are bad. So that's not good. What else? What other shortcomings are there? Yeah, I mean, there are some places that are just a little bit rough around the edges. I mean, just from an editor perspective, there's a lot of UX issues. Like, I still think the tile map system is a little bit non-intuitive to use. It's a little bit confusing because there's menus all over the place. There are some other UX things. Like, I really don't like this top bar up here. Like, this is not good. I always get lost in these different panels here. So, I mean, it's just like, there's a bunch of minor things, but there's nothing like that's just glaringly, at least for 2D development, like glaringly a problem. Oh, here's another problem that I would mention. Tile maps are not very performant. So if you're trying to generate a procedural world using tile maps, I was making at one point a Terraria clone. It was more sort of just like an experiment, and trying to do the procedural generation with tile maps, even tile maps that were relatively small, like chunk sizes, it was super slow because of the auto tiling algorithm, I think, in particular, but that was just like unworkable. So like modifying tile maps at runtime is like a no-go if you're doing any sizable operation. That might have changed. I think I was doing that in Godot 4.1 or something, so that might have changed. But so there's just like things like that, but there's nothing. There's not like a shortcoming that is rising to the extent that I wouldn't recommend the engine. I absolutely love Godot, and I'm sure that those issues will be fixed at some point in the future. So yeah, Godot 4.4 will address some of the issues in 3D with improved grid maps and integrating Jolt physics engine. Yeah. The game live tab useful for 3D. Yeah, the live tab will be really cool. Yeah, exactly. If you try to use auto tile at runtime, it simply doesn't work. Yeah. And the other thing that bothers me too is like, I can't tell which parts of the engine support threading and which don't. Like, I've seen a lot of stuff about Godot and how like, oh, all of this stuff is being, done on a separate thread. And it's like, but if I, as the gameplay programmer, want to do something on a thread, it like never works. I've never successfully loaded a resource from a thread and seen a performance benefit from it. You can't compile shaders on a thread so that it doesn't hitch up the main game. I think that's changing in 4.4 in an automated way. You can't put together a tile map and auto tiling rules on a thread before adding it to the scene tree. I mean, that wouldn't even work anyway because you need the edges of that chunk to align with the other edges in an auto tile way. But like, and the scene tree itself is not thread safe, largely speaking. So like, if you wanted to be a little bit performance conscientious and like try to do something in a threaded manner, it's like basically impossible. So that's another problem. I always see these things on like, you know, Reddit or whatever. It's like, oh, you can just load this resource in a thread. I'm like, I've never seen that be useful ever. Like maybe in 3D, it's possible to do that in a way that's useful, but I've never seen a situation in 2D where doing anything threaded had any difference whatsoever. So yeah. And collision painting for 2D tiles is not great. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, definitely true. So, I mean, there's UX issue. I mean, it's like, you know, it's got its problem. Every engine has its UX problems and its, you know, little quirks and oddities. So I don't think any of that is like a deal breaker, but, and you can do like the next step I was going to do in my Terraria clone thing was do like mesh generation, like 2D mesh generation. Because that's actually what, I think that's what Terraria uses actually. I don't think they use a tile map. Minecraft uses like a mesh generation system where it's not like, they're not actual like tiles. They're just, it's using an algorithm to determine how to build the mesh that you can see. And then it's like building a nice large mesh and then texturing over it based on what each cell or what each voxel's texture needs to be. And then it only updates like a section of the mesh based on what blocks you're breaking. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. Cool, so let me try this. Unlocked by doing something. So if I put a description in here and then I run this scene again, I should see that here. Oh, maybe not. Did I miss it? Oh, I changed the affix. Oops. I changed an affix instead of a passive. Beefy, here we go. Unlocked by consuming a cheeseburger. Great points, thanks for the answer. You're welcome. Welcome to the stream, by the way. I don't know if I greeted you. Unlocked by consuming a cheeseburger. There it is. So, now I should probably show the title here. I wonder if I could easily do that. Can I do that? Let's see, content container. If I took the description label, but if I change this self-modulate to black and then change the description label, I could just hide the description label. Would that be better? So if I did this, if I said, when I call set locked, if I did self-modulate here, and then description label dot visible equals false, I wonder if this would be more appealing, because then I could see the names, right? And I think that's the way I've got it for everything else, is I can see the name, but you can't see the description until you unlock it. Be the fuse, beefy. Bloated, combustion, blood torrent, blood brothers. That art probably needs to change a little bit. Okay. I don't know, what do we think? Should I show the banners? Maybe I can change the color of the banners though, so like gray or something. I think I already have support for that. Passive ingot banner. alternate texture. Yeah, I could do like a locked texture in here. Maybe I'll do that. Set is set bonus. Yeah, I think I'll just add an alternate texture for it that looks locked, like gray or something. And I'll remove that purple out underline here. But I'll keep the banner so you can see the name. Okay. I'm curious to know how they made those games where you manipulate every pixel like Noita does. Yeah, I remember seeing, I would not be able to recite how it works, but I remember seeing like a blog post on how that works. And I think what it essentially boils down to is just like, figure out which regions of the game have pixels that are being simulated, and then you like narrow down the simulation boundary to just those things. So instead of simulating every pixel in the level or on the screen, you're actually only simulating like chunks of it. And my understanding is that they could swap between which groups are being simulated over a series of frames. So I think this is how it works. I could just be talking just out of my butt here, but if I recall correctly, it was like they were able to isolate the regions of pixels that needed to be simulated, and then they could, on the next frame, simulate a different region and leave that one alone or do some kind of interpolation with it. So they're like spreading out the compute and very narrowly targeting the pixels that need to be done, but that is just like my high level understanding of how that was actually implemented. Like I said, I have no clue like what that actually looks like from a technical standpoint. And of course you still need to handle the pixel by pixel collisions and all that stuff. So is there an easy way to remove the animation from them? There is, yes. So we could definitely do that. For scrolling content and controls, I prefer to use a smooth scroll extension from the asset store instead of base Godot scroll container node. Default is too laggy for me. Yeah, I think that's a good point. You could definitely interpolate it. But this works too, like you can just drag and drop. But yeah, I understand what you're saying. I can't believe, I didn't realize I had this many passives in the game. 36 of them. Okay, there's one thing that I want to do though before I go forward with that. And this is something that I wanted to try. So we'll see how it goes, but I want to do this. Add another margin container here. Oh, this is not going to work, is it? Scroll container, add child node, margin container. This, make this a layout, transform, expand, mouse, ignore. Watch this. Texture rect, new gradient texture, 1D. Oh wait, this is not going to work, is it? I was going to try to use a mask here to fade these things out. But now that I'm thinking about it, I don't think that's going to work. Can I even do a mask on here? Clip children. Clip only. Isn't there a way to apply like a mask? Godot for masking. It's called clipping. Oh, I guess it's clipping. It's not mask. Oh, my dream has been crushed. My dream has been crushed, unfortunately. And now the cat is being annoying again. Let's see. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be able to do this. Yeah, this is not going to work. Okay, well, my dream has been crushed. I could fake a mask by having like a... Something that I've done before was in the player stats UI here. I've got like these gradient textures here, so I wonder if I could just do the same thing. I just want that to fade out a little bit nicer. And I don't know how exactly I'm going to do that. We also don't want the height to be super big. Oh boy. Okay. Shrink and expand. And then expand that. Yeah, it's not quite right. Let me see. I think I need this color. That looks a little bit better, but I think... Uh-oh, Godot's gonna crash. That makes sense. It's definitely something like that. Oh, I don't know what that's in reference to. I already forgot. Should I wait for the program to respond or close it? Guess we're closing it. Well, let's see how much progress I lost. I don't think I lost much. Passive unlock screen. Okay, so it didn't kill me too bad here. Okay. Please don't crash again. So I think this would look nicer if I could somehow put it outside of the... Yeah, if I could somehow get it... What I might do is turn this to 0 everywhere. No, I don't like that either. I could leave the margin right the way that it is. Margin top the way that it is. That'll work, yeah. So now it stretches from edge to edge except for this situation here. That still looks weird though. I mean, we can see how it looks in practice, I suppose. The pixel manipulation from Noita. Oh, yeah, I remember now. Okay, so there's another problem here, which is that this is not... Okay. Yeah, this is just not going to work. Okay, I think that that's a failed experiment. That's fine. It'll just have to get randomly cut off like this. I mean, the other thing I could do is... Let me think. I think I could just add like an HBox container here. So I could do this. I could take my margin container, make the margin bottom 0, and then I can add a fake... Well, shoot. Now I have to do this. VBox container, like so. Localization. No, not localization. Layout, container sizing, expand, expand. Grid container, yes, and then this HBox container here. Layout, custom minimum size. I can give it like a padding of 32 or something. I think that's going to work. So I just fake the bottom padding. So now the things get cut off at the bottom here. Oh, but they're not cut off at the top. And this scroll bar extends edge to edge now. Man, but look, there's padding down here now. And they get cut off by the window. So that feels more natural, I guess. But now the scroll bar. Why is everything so difficult? Why is everything so difficult? Now these are getting cut off halfway up here too. I might just have to deal with it. Yeah, I encountered a number of crashes and editor slowdowns too when I was trying out 3D in Godot. That was version 4.2 though, so it might have improved in 4.3. But yeah, they're definitely making a lot of improvements, so. Okay, let me change some textures here. I gotta figure out where this passive ingot stuff is. Assets, UI. Passive banner locked. So we're going to get rid of this purple down here. Load default palette. So private texture 2D locked texture. So I'm just setting up all these things here. Locked texture, there we go. So now in this passive ingot here, set is locked to true. We will build. And that's why I don't like making UI at all. Yeah, UI, I think my two least favorite things to do in all of game development are sound effects and UI. Probably UI more than sound effects. But it has to be done. Okay, let's see how this looks. There we go. Check it out. So now they're gray when they're locked. You can still read the text. I think I'm going to change this outline color here. Something a little bit lighter. There we go. Might not be contrasty enough. I might tone this down a little bit. Just create more contrast between the text and whatnot. But this might not look as good. There's definitely more contrast. Yeah, that's probably better. That's probably better. I think that's fine. What I could do is instead of using this, maybe I could use a more distinctly purple color. No, I can't do that. Maybe, oh, maybe, I wonder if using like shades of green would be better here. Probably not. I could use green for the outline maybe. Yeah, that's actually... I don't have many color options here. Well, I'll just keep it the way it was. Okay, so this is looking great. Do I still have that cheeseburger line in here? Oh, I do. Unlocked by consuming a cheeseburger. Excellent. So the next big thing to do would be to come up with some kind of table for the hub. So the hub arena here. Actually, let's just run around. I mean, I do have like a literal table right here, but I don't know if this is the best thing for passives. So like I have the upgrades over here, the stats here. Maybe I'll move the stats and put something else down here. Anyone have any like ideas for an interactable table here? We've got the runes here, the rune unlocks. I probably, send me your suggestions. I think it turned out great. Thank you. Yeah. Send me your suggestions. What should exist in this little room here that when you interact with it, it shows you your passive unlocks? I could transform this area over here into the passive unlocks, but it doesn't really match. That's just like a decorative item. Got the little, training dummies. Gun parts. It's our little lever to go to the next level. What was I gonna do? Right, what I want to do for sure, I think, is I want to... I don't know if I have room for this, so let's see. Let me commit what I have first. So work on passive unlocks screen. Oh, I accidentally committed the beefy line in there. There's no cheeseburgers in the game. Okay. Undo cheeseburger thing. So let me see. Passive ingot. So I want to have like a little banner that says what screen you're on, like the rest of them. So what I need to do actually is I need to do a margin top, a larger margin top actually, of like 64. And then this is actually going to be a relatively tricky. I'm going to copy this. So many margin containers. Well, I don't need this to be floating over there anymore. These markers, I mean, if I have 36 of them. So this layout, custom size. What is my current size on this? Custom minimum size, let's do 128 for safety. Oh, that's just not gonna work. Okay, maybe I'll change the label size then. Let's see, transform. So the size is 128. So custom minimum size, 196, 32. Ooh, that's terrible. Probably a little bit too big, actually. That'll work. Okay. Chain panel animator component. Let's see if I remember how to do this. Sway animation root, drop animation root, speed scale. Connect to these markers. Disable sway, no. Disable rotation, no. Infinite sway on. Duration 0. Sway distance, 10, sway rotation, additional starting offset, whatever. Let's see if this works. A mirror or a bookshelf, maybe. That's a good idea. Maybe put some books on that table. A mirror would be cool. Now you guys are going to have to... Ooh. Now you guys are going to make me have to add make me have to add reflections and whatnot. That's not cool. Why is that not working? I don't understand. Infinite sway, play in, delay, sway distance, 8, duration 0. I mean, that's all right. Why is this not working? Maybe if I just go passive unlock screen. Why is this not working? Its pivot offset is way off for some reason. Oh, I need to set center pivot offset here. I see. That should fix it. Perfect. We'll turn down the rotation a little bit here. Actually, sway distance, let's do 3, 2. Perfect. I mean, they're going to get cut off here too, which is kind of annoying, but I really don't know what to do about that. I could do some gradient tricks, I think, but I don't know if that's going to be good. I can figure that out. I can figure that out later. So I got to make that header update now. Private label unlock label. Var unlocked equals 0. Var total equals passive registry .ids .length or .count. Really? Unlock label.text is equal to string.format unlock label.text unlocked count, and rename this to total count. There we go. All right, let's see if that updates properly. We should see 0 out of 36 if it worked. There we go, 0 out of 36. So now that will automatically update depending on how many passes are in the game. And there's enough space here so that if that number grows, it's not gonna break the chains at all. I do want to take this and move that over just a bit. There we go. Sweet. All right, so this screen is looking all right, I think. It's looking all right. I might add some, like I said, might add some niceties here to this. Just rough cutoff here is just, actually, you know what? I wonder if I even need to do that, honestly. I think I could just get away with doing this. Horizontal scroll, first of all, disabled. Clip contents off. What happens if I turn clip contents off? Is that going to be terrible? The chains are rendering behind the ingots. Why is that happening? I think I resolved this in some kind of way. I don't remember though. Editable children, maybe? Oh no. Is that how I did it? No. I don't know. Take a look at the mirror in Hades. It's a different perspective. They managed to make it work even without reflections. Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah, I'll take a look at that. Yeah, I'm about to mention Hades, yeah. Gradient would look nice. I really do like that waving banner animation. Thank you, Alt. Yeah, I think the banner looks all right. I don't know. What do we think? Do we think that not clipping the contents works fine? I mean, I get this header overlapping the passive a little bit, but that might be... this might just be an easy fix where it's like... it's not clipping it arbitrarily, so they're not getting cut off midway through. And then I could add a gradient up here and that would look much nicer. So actually, I might do that. I don't need a gradient down at the bottom, but if I had a gradient at the top that was just like gradually fading them out, I want to figure out why my chain is rendering behind that though. Why is that happening? Why is that happening? I think I've fixed that in some way, but I don't remember. How did I fix that? Where did I fix that? Why is that broken in the first place? So many questions, so little answers. Why isn't that working? You see the chain going behind there? Why isn't that working? Why is that happening? Also, that's intercepting my mouse events for some reason, even though I told it not to. Don't want those intercepting my mouse events. Oh, wait, maybe it's not. Oh, maybe it is. I think this would be acceptable if I got a gradient in there, and then also if I got those chains to render on top of the freaking... Why is it not... I mean, the order of operations here is fine. I guess these chains... I should probably... You know what I should do? I should look at the remote scene tree and take a gander at this. So, let's see. Remote. Passive unlock screen, chain panel, animator component. We've got this line 2D here. Z index is -1. Why am I setting the Z index to a -1? So maybe I am right. Maybe the way to fix it is just to turn on editable children and take this Z index here. Turn this to 0. Is that going to work? Always want to try functional programming in Godot, but end up building a bunch of procedures in GDScript. I'm not too familiar with functional programming. Oh, now it's going to do this. I see. Wait. There. I'm not too familiar with functional programming, honestly. Z-index 10,000, yeah. That's like the CSS way of fixing things. There we go. So now I can actually player stats UI here. I can actually take this gradient here and almost like, I think verbatim copy it, basically. We'll make this unique just so that I'm not accidentally squashing anything. Let's see. Oh, I put it in the wrong spot. Does this also have an ordering issue? It does, yeah. So I should probably also turn this down to 64 or something. Does this have a minimum size set? Oops, why did I switch to this? Goodness gracious. Lurk, yes. Feel free to lurk. Okay. There we go. That's a little bit nicer. So now they fade away instead of getting cut off. That also just creates more contrast for this header here. Yeah, I think that's fine. I think that is fine. So I don't have any actually unlock functionality working right now. I need to figure out what I want to do about that. Let me think. I think what I'd have to do, let me test it. Let me see. Okay. Player stats UI. What is this? Okay. So work on passive unlock screen. So the way that I would do this, I think, is when a passive gets added to the player here, save manager dot try unlock. Oh, you know what? I need to create a passive unlock manager that can show a toast. Show affix toast. I need to modify this toast notification to show passive unlocks as well. Okay. Well, I'm gonna have to do that. So I'll basically just need to create a passive unlocks manager. And then what I'll do is I'll have a try unlock passive here. That will go through that manager. And then it will check all the conditions necessary to unlock it and then show a toast notification message if the unlock is successful. Okay. Are you manually managing resources in TSCN? I mean, some resources are embedded into the scene, so like particle process materials and whatnot, but the resources that I use in multiple places are saved in my resources directory here. And I've got custom resources for like my passives and whatnot, but I do have like materials that I've saved here and shaders as well, I think. Yeah, I've got some shaders here. Obviously fonts. So there are some resources that I saved as standalone resources, but then there are some that I just leave inside of the scene because they don't need to be standalone because they're unique to that scene or for whatever reason. Okay, unlock system. Cool. All right, so that's I think that's a good place to stop, honestly. I gotta go get some food. Well, I guess it's not quite dinner time yet, but yeah, I'm gonna go take a break, maybe grab a snack. I don't know, we'll see. But anyway, that was a very productive stream though. Yeah, thank you all for watching. Very much appreciate that. Gunforged is coming along. Like I said, Gunforged is basically content complete. I'm just going to be adding stuff like this unlock system for passives, doing a ton of playtesting, adding the sound effects that are missing, fixing a couple of bugs that I've noticed. And I may end up doing an art pass on some things as well. And I probably will end up adding more content prior to release, but my goal is to have the game like in a releasable state by the end of this month, meaning that by January 31st, the game should feel like I could give it to the public and it would be fine. But the plan is to release the game at the end of February instead. So that's going to give me the month of February to do a bunch of playtesting, add any new content that I really want to add, and also do my marketing. So I'm going to be reaching out to a bunch of independent, like content creators, people that have gaming YouTube channels and whatnot. I'll be sending them keys so that they can play the game, get those wish lists and everything built up prior to the release, and then yeah, press the button and go on the 28th. I also have some Steam stuff to do, like I need to do Steam achievements and whatnot, so I'll probably take the month of February to add like Steam achievements and cloud saves and that kind of thing. So February is basically just going to be the month where I'm like tying up everything and just packaging up real nice with a nice little bow. Did I finish the last boss? I did, yeah. I think I'm going to not show that on stream I like I said, I put some hints on my Twitter or X account. There's a hint there. But I think if you want to see the final boss, I think I'm just going to have to tease you and say you'll have to purchase the game and play through it to find out what the final boss is. But yeah, it's finished, so we're good there. All right, like I said, that's it for the stream today. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you for your support. Again, please check out the links in the description below. Those are all the ways that you can support me. You could purchase my Udemy courses. That's a great way of financially supporting me, and it's a great way of learning how to build a complete game in the Godot engine. Otherwise, please wishlist Gunforged. That's going to be a huge help for me. And again, Gunforged is releasing at the end of February. It's almost done. It's finally here after many long years. But otherwise, you can sign up for my email list at firebelly.com, and you can also, I don't know, there's other stuff in the description. I don't remember what's down there. So take a look below, and thank you so much for your support again. Thank you for watching, and I will see you tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Eastern time. We'll be right back here streaming again. All right, take care, everyone. Bye-bye.